Okay, so today we're going to talk about one of the most famous engineering disasters of pretty much all time, Titanic. Not many people know, probably because they weren't alive back then, but before the Titanic even set sail, there was a lot of publicity in the newspapers, magazines, and all sorts of media around the luxury cabins, the amazing lounges, gorgeous food, and all of that. Came down to a point where the ship owners even claimed that Titanic, because of its ingenious design, was practically unsinkable. Lo and behold, 4 days after setting sail in April of 1912, Titanic struck an iceberg, and within 3 hours, the ship sank to the bottom of the sea. More than 1,500 lives were lost in one of the most dramatic shipping tragedies of all time. So what happened? Ships at the time did not have any radar or satellite navigation system or any of that. They basically relied on two things to navigate the ship around. One was the ship in the area would radio each other and let them know if there's an iceberg or a rock formation or stones or whatever that they have to worry about, and they would sort of navigate around that way. The other way would be they would put one person on the mast of the ship, which is more or less the highest point in the ship, and he would look around and inform the rest of the crew if there's an iceberg or any other thing that they, or another ship or whatever, any of the things that they need to sort of worry about. So on April 14th, in the middle of the night, around 11 o'clock or something, somebody saw an iceberg about a quarter of a mile away. They informed the crew to try and navigate around it, but by then it was a little too late, and ship struck that iceberg, and water started pooling into one. What exactly went wrong engineering wise? So the Titanic's had a very interesting design, and the reason why they wanted to call it that it was unsinkable, they thought the Titanic could take a lot of damage and still make it to port to repair those damages. So below deck, in on the Titanic, below the deck, they had 16 watertight compartments, and they were separated from each other by these big walls called bulkheads. Now, what the engineering logic behind this was, if Titanic, let's say, hit an iceberg or a rock formation or whatever, the water would seep in and go into these individual compartments and not go anywhere else. And the ship could have four of these compartments completely filled, and it would still set sail and wouldn't have many issues making it to dock. And once they're at the dock, they can make the repairs and make sure that everything's fine. And that's why they were calling it unsinkable. The problem that happened in the actual accident was these bulkheads were not tall enough. And when the water started pooling in, it went from one bulkhead to another one and started filling up each bulkhead. And once the ship started getting heavier on one side and started dipping on that side, most of the water started pooling on that side. And I think it was about 6 bulkheads that were that were filled up, and that's sort of what caused the Titanic to start tilting on one side. That was one of the major issues. The second major issue was they didn't have enough lifeboats. People knew at the time that they didn't have enough lifeboats on the ship. One of the, and I'm not 100% sure on this story, so don't take my word for it, but one of the stories that went out was one of the reasons why they didn't put enough lifeboats on it was because lifeboats had to be up above the deck. They can't be below the deck, they have to be above the deck. And that was hindering the view of these really expensive first class cabins. And that was one of the reasons why they cut down on the lifeboats. And that basically, they had about 1,800 and change people on the Titanic, and they had lifeboats for less than 800 people. And that crucial mistake caused a lot of loss of life just because they were trying to make more money off of this. So in new ships now, we still have the compartmentalized model. At the below deck, there are different compartments. All of them are watertight. The height of the bulkhead is either taller, significantly taller, or they're just sealed off. They're sealed off at the top as well. And in different ships, the design are a bit different, and the way it is set up is a bit different. But you don't have to have 25% of the compartments completely filled to for the ship to be deemed safely qualified. It's significantly more than that, and you need to have more lifeboats, significantly more lifeboats than the amount of passenger you're going to be carrying, because an assumption is made that some of the lifeboats may be destroyed because of whatever accident that you're going through. So there's a lot of measures that are put into place into in modern boats, well, not boats, ships, in order to make them safe. Obviously, the satellite navigation and all of that definitely helps, as well as the modern communication system to call out for help. So there's a lot of things that have been put into place and lessons learned from Titanic.